All right, here we are at the Your Coach podcast. I can't believe it's taken this long to get this guy on this podcast.
I'm hard to get.
Yeah, he's hard to get, exactly. François Jarry. So, François, I think I've coached François for, I don't know, 12 years maybe, or
Yeah,
more
more
than
than
that.
10 for
More
sure.
than 10,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, from when you started at McGill, I still remember our first conversation, which was in that like the little like kind of hall outside the track there.
Yep.
And you were
Tomlinson
like,
Hall.
yeah, Thompson Hall. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna run the marathon in like 3 weeks. I think I said, okay, come back after that and we'll talk.
Yeah, I was like, do you think I can join the cross country team and do the marathon? You were like, yeah, that's good. You're in the McGill Olympic Club. Because if you told that to Dennis on the or Jim on the cross country team, yeah, you'd get kicked out.
Yeah,
Well, not exactly, but yeah.
no. But
You,
we got you there anyway. Eventually
yeah,
you did make it to the McGill team. So
yeah.
tell the audience a bit about your illustrious running career.
Well, I started in high school. At the end of high school, in secondary five, there was this race my high school teacher was organizing. It was supposed to be a 5K around a track, around a riverside track, actually.
Okay.
But in the end, ended up being like a 3.8 or something because we ended up lacking time, and she was like, some people were running slower, just gonna take too long. So yeah, we ended up running something like that, like 3.8 or 4.2. I think I did it in like 19 minutes, and I actually trained for that. Like I started going on jogs with my father, who jogged a bit back then. And yeah, I wanted my dream would have been like to be top three or something like that, or top five even, because I was never really good at sports. And then that race, I some good guys just didn't show up. Like they were like doing, I don't know, another competition. I don't know. And there were still some good guys, but yeah, I at some point I was like, holy shit, I think I'm first. And then yeah, at the end of the race when they took off our chips, the teacher was taking off my chips. Was like, "You're the first." And I was like, "Holy shit!" And that was so much fun. Like afterwards, it was my friend who was like the DJ, and they made the medals, and he put like "We are the champions" when I was getting my medal, and I was like so proud and so happy. And then at CJEP, I was like, okay, let's join the cross country team. And yeah, and then I joined the cross country team at McGill. Well, tried to.
Yeah.
The funny story is I messaged Dennis because like that's who you were supposed to message if
Yeah.
you wanted to join the team, and he never replied. And then I'm not the only one. I know other people that's happened to them too, so I don't take it personal. But yeah, I guess maybe he didn't get my message or something. And then I learned that the tryouts were the day before
Mm,
when I learned about
mm.
there were tryouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I joined the McGill Olympic Club, and then eventually moved on to the McGill cross country team,
Yeah.
the varsity team.
I don't remember, but like how long did it take? Like, did you run track for McGill that winter, or was it the next fall
Yeah,
that you ran cross country? Or you did run track?
yeah. I even ran cross country that year,
Okay.
but my first race was provincials, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I managed to join because of this guy, Vincent Parent-Pichette, who was the
Yeah.
captain of the
Yeah.
cross team, cross country, and he was also in phys ed, just like me, a
Okay.
physical education student. And yeah, and he came in one of our class because he was a year older, just to show a project he had done. And then we were talking because we saw each other because we'd meet up at the same spot
Mm,
when we'd go training. But then we
yeah.
trained with our group, and he was like, "Yeah, I think you could join." And I ended up
Good.
after my marathon, I ended up joining the
Yeah.
guys for a workout.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I don't know. I had never, forgot how it had exactly gone down the transition, but I remember that first conversation. And then you ended up being like the best runner on the team eventually.
Yeah, like the next year there was Santiago, who was
Yeah.
a new guy who was better than me that year. he
Yeah.
consistently finished ahead of me. But at provs, at provincials, I managed to finish the second runner in the team, and I barely managed to finish top 10,
Mhm.
which made me go to the Canadian
Mhm.
University cross country championships.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was a big moment. I was
Mhm.
super proud. And I barely made it. Like
Yeah.
I actually kicked my teammate, the captain,
Vince.
Vincent Parent-Pichette,
Yeah.
at the end of the race, and he was 11th. So like, yeah, I took the spot from him, but he didn't have bad blood.
No, Vince
Anyway,
is very nice.
no, he's super nice, and he was a 600 guy. So,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
shouldn't have been that good on our cross country team, but he was just a beast.
Mhm. Yeah.
He managed to do well, even from 600 to 10K, because
Mhm.
back then it was 10K. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the following years, I'd say I became the number one runner on the team.
Mhm. Yeah. And the number one runner in the province. Did you ever win the university provincials? I think
No,
no, but
no.
second or third a couple times.
But yeah, I've gotten second or third a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
I'm no second, but third I know for sure.
Yeah.
But like behind guys like Charles Philbert Subuto, Olympian
Yeah.
caliber guys. So I, I'm I wish I'd have won it once, but there were always some really good guys. So
Yeah.
it's still very nice. Like I'm you know like coming from where I've come from, like
Yeah.
back then my dream was like just imagining finishing top three in a little road race,
Yeah.
like a
School
local
race. Yeah.
circuit endurance race
Yeah.
or even a school race.
Yeah.
Like that was like a unimaginable.
Yeah.
Like to run sub 16 in the 5K, that was insane. So then to be able to do that, I'm just like
Yeah.
that's all bonus.
Mhm.
I'm just getting bonus and bonus, and I want to win, but
Mhm.
if I don't, I'm still like I'm super lucky.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this, I'm gonna ask about this later, but I'll ask about it now because you
Yeah.
brought up you outkicked Vince and you have this, desire to win. So I think the other moment that I always remember from your career was I think it was the provincial 5,000 meter championships at Laval, where you came from behind like with a massive kick to win. Like, and it was being live streamed, and the two guys, I forget who it was, but the two guys from Quebec City who were commenting on the live stream were going, you couldn't have heard that obviously because you're in the race, but maybe you watched it
No,
later. But they
no,
were
but
going
I've
nuts because of
yeah. So
the
it
kick.
wasn't provs, but it was a Rouge et Or night, and
Right. Yeah.
it was a big race, and it
Mhm.
was actually I'd never run sub 15 before,
Hmm.
and I didn't come from that far behind, but well, maybe that's another one. There was also one with Jean-Simon Desgagnés,
Hmm.
but
No, it
I'd say
wasn't with him.
yeah. So
It was
it was the one with
before.
Maxime Lapierre, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just that's probably my craziest, like the race where I stepped up so much, and that was like I couldn't believe my result because I'd never run sub 15 in the 5,000, and then I just show up to this race, and I've had a good season, so I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna try to get sub 15, try to hang out with these guys, and I run the race, and then at 3,000 meters we're at like 8:30 or 8:40,
Yeah.
8:40, let's say.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa. And we're like three or four guys, and I'm like, that's not normal that I'm there. I'm with them.
Yeah.
And then, I just keep going, and then it's just the two of us, me and Maxime Lapierre, who was really a big guy, he was a top dog. And we in the last 3, 4 turns, we just exchange lead. I pass him, he passes me, I pass him, he passes me. In the last turn, he passes me. And then in the final curve, I just catch up, and I just eke out the sprint and win. And I remember Ben Forrestel was there, you were there, and
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit. And he was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I've watched that end of race. It was fun because it was live stream. I've watched that ending and heard the comments, and it was so much fun. They're like in the Jarry kick, and mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? What's going on? Yeah, it was no, it was a fun race. I often use it like when I show students. I'm like how to pace yourself. Don't start too fast so
Yeah.
that you can and finish fast.
Yeah.
I often, well, and also because they like it. They
Yeah.
like to see me be behind and then pass, and and finish in the lead. So,
But
but
don't start too fast. But you started in like 8:40 for 3K, which would have been
yeah, but it wasn't too fast for me apparently
okay.
because
Yeah.
because I apparently was that fit.
Hmm.
But also another moral of that would be just like go with the flow sometimes. Because if I just looked at my pace, I would have slowed down.
Yeah.
I'd have been this is way too fast. But then
Yeah.
I was feeling good, so
Yeah.
okay, let's go and just I went with the flow and then it was
Yeah.
going good.
Yeah. That's a good moral. That's how, Mel ran really well in Chicago the same way. Like she went through half in like, 1:15 or something, which was like not what the plan was at all, but she's like, oh, it's okay. And yeah, sometimes you have more than you think.
But I find marathon is different, like because
Um,
marathon, well, you can get punished hard for that. Like
yeah.
I've done those marathons where I start a bit too fast because I'm a bit confident and I
Mhm.
still try to maintain, but and then I just crash so hard. But it's true, it can vary. And I think Bianca Premont has done that too similarly. Like she started fast and then slowed down a bit, but still did like
Mhm.
amazing results. And yeah, I think back then I don't think I had a GPS watch. I think I still had a
Yeah.
Timex watch.
Yeah.
Like I only started getting a GPS watch when I started marathon training.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember that was like when we were in the winter running at Summit Circle.
Mhm.
That's when I started getting a GPS watch because like, okay, I need to know like my pace because it was like those marathon pace and those slower times sometimes that's tough to gauge. Like I think that's when we started getting
Mhm.
MP30, like 30
Mhm.
seconds slower than your
Mhm.
marathon pace. And I was like, shit, I don't know how exactly that is versus
Mhm.
I can know basically what's my half marathon feeling effort,
Mhm.
So that's when I actually got one. So a long time I was just with that Timex watch and just I was logging minutes,
Mhm.
we had this
Yeah.
Google sheet and it just logged minutes,
Yeah.
uh, and that not kilometers.
Yeah.
And I still I still go by minutes and
Yeah.
kilometers is like a happy byproduct.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. Like that's it. Like when we make the plan, I usually just put in like an hour 20. But it's interesting too, like at this point, you know, like you just run every day. Like I'm not really like giving you a plan every day of how many minutes to run because I know you're just gonna run and you know.
Yeah, yeah, I used to be very like you'd send me this Google sheet and I'd always go a bit over, try to go a bit over, like 5-10 minutes over, maybe
Yeah.
15 sometimes. And now is with the job, it's just like I try to get my easy runs in and I try to get my workouts in.
Mhm.
It's harder with the job and all, but
Mhm.
but I try to run every day. It's
Mhm.
and I see how much I can do depending on how I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so that was sort of by way of introduction. Who is
Yeah.
this guy?
Yeah.
Um, I guess the first question I always ask people is, why do you run? So you kind of answered like how you got into running, but and obviously, you train for races, you want to run fast, but just kind of a bigger picture, like why do you like running?
Yeah, so in the beginning it was because I was good at it. In the beginning it was that was it.
Mhm.
Because I played soccer for 13 years or more and I sucked at it, but I was like that's the sport I'm doing. I've played a bit of basketball. I wasn't super good either. I played a
Mhm.
bit of baseball. I wasn't good. And then running, I was actually decent, and ended up being good. So
Yeah.
that's why I was running because I was doing something I felt good at. Um, and I wanted to improve. I wanted to see my times get better. Um, so yeah, but I think a lot of people is that too, it's you start running because you're like, hey, I can actually do it.
Mhm.
Other people is to get into shape, and now I feel it's getting a bit more that, it's like I still want to be competitive. A lot of my motivation is I want to win races or do well in races. Like that's what's going to get me to do those nasty workouts.
Mhm.
But also a big motivation now for me is uh being healthy, because well, I'm getting older. I'm not super old, but I've passed the 30,
Yeah.
and once you pass the 30s, you're like, okay, getting into another bracket,
Yeah. Yeah.
the body's not recovering as quickly as it used when you were 20. So yeah, more and more I'm seeing the long-term picture. Also like I want to be maybe I think I want to be competitive when I'm like in the masters categories too.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for longevity,
Mhm.
and it's also the social aspect. Although this winter it's kind of sucked because I've been on the treadmill all the time. So it's
Yeah,
been mostly I've been watching series and movies,
yeah,
and yeah, but in the summer often is for the social aspect, running with people, and also
yeah.
the mental aspect because
Mhm.
you feel well either you listen to a podcast or you I don't listen to music much, so it's either a podcast or nothing.
Mhm.
And if it's nothing, it's like meditation for me. Like I'm not able to decide to go meditate, but I'm able to go decide to go run and just enjoy the scenery. And I
Mhm.
just think about so much stuff. I get my best ideas when I'm running.
Mhm.
So it's a more of a mixture now. But
Mhm.
in the past, it was really, uh, yeah, it was really like I'm good at it. Let's get better at it. Let's get some records. Let's get some PRs. Now it's harder to get PRs,
Mhm.
and now it's more like be competitive. Maybe it's still possible to get PRs. I
Mhm.
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
Uh,
for
I
sure.
just need to be a very and it's gonna go into one of your following questions, I guess, of like what's the key to success maybe, or maybe it's one of your questions, maybe it's not, but like consistency, that's what I've been lacking in the past years, and
Mhm.
that's what I had in the
Mhm.
beginning. I was just like
Mhm.
so consistent, running 3 workouts every week,
Mhm.
just doing it, and it paid off,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's definitely my next question is what do you think people need to do to run fast? So
yeah.
consistency, and then what I mean, but what do people have to do consistently? Like
Yeah,
run.
it's do your runs, do your prescribed runs. Me, it was volume I've seen,
Mhm.
in CJEP, I was running 3 4 times a week.
Mhm.
I was good, but like I was like mid team, in the middle of my team,
Yeah,
which was a decent team.
yeah.
And then when I got to McGill, then I wasn't even top eight at McGill,
Mhm.
which was good, but not that good, honestly, compared to Université Laval and Sherbrooke. And but then I just and I it kind of plateaued in my second year of CJEP. I was
Mhm.
like not improving that much.
Mhm.
And then when I got to McGill, when I started to follow your plan and to run 6 days a week or
Mhm.
seven sometimes, then it just started exploding.
Mhm.
So it was like doing a lot more mileage and doing yeah, being consistent in the workouts. The workouts I'd always been doing 2 or 3 workouts a week, but
Mhm.
yeah, now it was bigger workouts and but also bigger mileage. I think it's the mileage that unblocked it for me because yeah, then I just started
Mhm.
PBing all the time.
Yeah. And so you coach I guess a couple different groups, like you coach Boreal still a bit. Is that mainly you or is it you or Olivier is
It's
running?
mainly Olivier. I've replaced from time to time Boreal, which is a group mostly like over 40 years old, although there's some people under, but mostly over 40 and over.
Mhm.
Nice group. Also, but also teaching young ones
Mhm.
with Nicolas Marion.
Mhm.
That's like in Villemont Royal.
Mhm.
So yeah, young ones like 12 years old.
Okay.
So that's fun too. Um,
So
yeah,
how do you teach, like how do you give that message to those two different groups? Because like obviously the 12-year-olds are not running like big mileage. So
yeah.
what's the
No.
message with them?
Well, with the older ones, it's just like I like to be like the nasty one who has the nasty workouts, and they like it, and I run with them the workouts, so they really seem to enjoy that. A lot of them give me positive feedback about that.
Mhm.
The young ones, it's we vary a lot, and we try to make gamify it.
Mhm.
So like a lot of relay races. One thing well, I've kind of invented, but kind of modified. It's always like that,
Yeah.
you always borrow games that
Mhm.
you learn. But so my version of it is I call it like the death race or something. It's like there you put cones in like an oval or circle or whatever shape. There's one kid on each side, and then each kid is running this. Well, they're all running in the same direction, trying to catch the other kid.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's basically an exhaustion race a bit, like
Yeah.
until someone gets exhausted. What I've added then is like that you can be two, so that
Oh,
at first you are obligated to pass to pass the hand or pass the
yeah.
baton,
Yeah.
when you get back to your teammate,
Right.
but then you add strategy, then you can. So it adds a layer, and I've seen those kids run
Hmm.
like quite a bit at that game because it gets competitive.
Right. Very
So that
motivated.
they like, you know,
Mm.
but we don't want to make them just run, you know. We make them throw shots, shot puts.
Mhm.
We make them jump hurdles. It's always you put a hurdle in the middle.
Mhm.
It's different. That we also go to a little exterior gym. You know, we make some exercise. They like it too.
Mhm.
So we vary a lot, and we also at the end I always like play a game of tag, like a variation of tag. So
Mhm.
uh, you just make it funny and add
Mhm.
a funny variation, like we're babies, and now when you're tagged, you're crawling on your legs, or the toilet tag. When you're tagged, you become a toilet, and someone has to sit on you and flush you to leave. So yeah, they love that one. So
Oh boy,
so
I
yeah,
bet.
yeah, and they're running a lot when they do that. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how we do it. Kids that age, and yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And I guess the older folks, like they're either, they run what they run, and they're there for, for the social aspect, and to maybe not PBs, but to try to run, as best as they can.
They're there for social, but also some of them are competitive, you know,
Yeah.
like age group
Yeah,
level,
age
or
group,
like
yeah.
trying to try not to decline too much, try to maintain as much as they can. And
Hmm.
then and they like, many of them, I think they like to to suffer and to push themselves. Some
Yeah.
of them, you know, like they can't really
Yeah.
too much push too
Hmm.
much, so they go
Hmm.
their own pace and that's it.
Yeah.
But I keep
Yeah.
on encouraging. But yeah, we have a bit of everything. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have
They're fun.
also a runner with Down syndrome, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and
Okay. Nice.
yeah, yeah, there was an article about him in the Journal de Montréal because he was running the
Oh,
10K
oh.
something. So yeah, we have a bit of everything, you know,
Oh.
and it's fun. It's a nice group, really nice group, super friendly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I used to coach them back in the day.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And probably still some same people. Is Aldo still there? Like Aldo's always
yeah,
around.
yeah. I don't see him that much, but he shows up from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Paul lives in my neighborhood. I don't know how much he's going out there.
I don't see him that much.
Mm.
I don't think. Well, maybe sometimes there's some names I know, some names because I do it very rarely. I do it like
Yeah. Oh,
8 to 10 times a year, you know, when you
okay. Okay.
can't do it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I see. Okay. Well, just dropping some names there, in case they're
yeah,
watching.
yeah, yeah. Little shout outs.
Yeah, exactly. So in the years of running, what are the best lessons that you've learned from running?
Yeah, so going back, consistency, that's a big one.
Hmm.
To be consistent, to just keep doing it. Um, you know, no excuses in some way, like, you
Yeah.
know, which now I I don't abide too much by.
Yeah.
Like when it got cold this winter, I was like, nope, forget about that. That's too cold.
I
I'm
feel
just
like this
gonna
is a
go on my
trend, and like
treadmill.
myself the same. Like I didn't run
Yeah,
this winter because I was like, I mean, my excuse, and I guess it's an excuse, is that like when I broke my knee, and I just was like, I don't feel, well, I don't feel confident. Like I don't think I'm gonna fall and break my knee every time, but it's like it's not as fun, like to go out there and just and feel like you're thinking in the back of your head like, oh,
in
I'm gonna
danger.
fall or whatever, get injured. I don't know, but I hear this from a lot of people
Yeah,
lately that
I'm not
says
the
like
only one.
that it's like they're done with this like winter running, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just the age of us or something, but
It's this winter, I think, because
yeah,
you know, I know, like for example, Pierre Fauché, he's an
yeah,
old guy,
yeah, I know him.
64 years old.
Yeah,
He's seen many winters,
yeah,
and this winter, he's like, I'm done with it,
okay.
you know. But he's seen many winters. He's been old for many winters. He's run a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. So I think it's this winter has been particularly bad.
Hmm.
Maybe next winter will be less grumpy.
Maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we got it. I got addicted to, like, watching series and running on my treadmill,
Well, at
and
least you're running if
feeling.
you're running on the treadmill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At least, mileage is mileage for me. So
Yeah.
and I'm not a proponent of junk miles, like saying it's bad,
Hmm.
Yeah. And once you get into a beat, it's when you get into a beat of not going because, oh, I didn't have time, and then
Hmm.
that's a
Yeah.
vicious cycle. So, it's yeah, it's discipline, consistency. But also with age, it's listening to your body,
Hmm.
like I think I've gotten pretty good at knowing knowing the difference between injury and soreness, but also sometimes if you're super sore, maybe it's good to take a day off to wait so
Mhm.
you're fully recovered so you're able to do it
Yeah.
well. Um, but but yeah, consistency is the big like it's
Mhm.
been the big thing that's helped me. Um, but but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it could seem contradictory to talk about consistency, but then talk about like leaving your, taking a day off or whatever, but you do that in the service of consistency, right? Like if you have to take one day off instead of taking like four because you got hurt.
Sure, but I do feel like I in the past years I've tended to err more. It was less cautionary and more
Mm.
lazy, more, like I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know about this, or oh I'm feeling super sore, but
Yeah.
it's also because I didn't manage my time well, or I've been super busy with life, with work. So because I feel like also doing a 45 60 minute jog after a big workout and can help you a lot recover. And
Mm.
I feel like sometimes I didn't do that jog and I felt terrible on Monday
Mm.
because I didn't do that recovery jog that
Mm.
makes your blood flow, makes
Mm.
your sends the signal, the capillaries repair those muscles.
Mm.
So yeah, I think some people it depends on the people. There's some people who are addicted to it who
Mm.
they would benefit from taking a break sometimes
Mm.
because they just can't
Yeah.
stop and they won't
Yeah.
listen to their body. They just want to stick to it, stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Me, I think I'm more on the a bit too cautious style now and also too lazy. But yeah, trying to get back into it. Learning
Yeah.
learning now from because I think it's back when I was a student.
Hmm.
I think it was the crew that
Yeah.
helped me.
Hmm.
Having either living with people who were running
Yeah.
or having teammates. I rarely ran alone.
Hmm.
A lot of the time I ran with friends, either
Hmm.
from the team, either
Hmm.
from outside.
Hmm.
But I had Mont Royal right next to my place.
Hmm.
So there were factors that helped a lot. And back then we'd do the workouts 20 minutes away from where I'm running,
Hmm.
so I could get there running every time, so I had no excuse not to show up.
Yeah.
Now since I'm a bit further, it's just so much easier to say, oh, I don't want to
Hmm.
then go there to then do it's easier to do it on my own, but then when it's on your own, it's
Hmm.
easier to just say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow,"
Hmm.
versus when it's the day off, you have to do it, you have to
Yeah.
show up, you have to do it, the people are going to be there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it helped a lot with the consistency, having a group.
Yeah. Having a team for sure. Yeah. Um, so another question, you talk about, big workout. What's your favorite workout that you like to do?
Yeah, I think I've told you a bit before. That I find the MP30. I
Hmm.
find it's very manageable. I
Mm.
don't know if it's getting me like the most optimal results since I don't feel like at the end of a 2 hour one or 2 hour 15
Hmm.
MP30.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll feel pretty tired.
Hmm.
But I just find I'm not pushing myself that much,
Hmm.
which I kind of like because like it's
Hmm.
hard when I push myself. We'll talk about it
Yeah.
later, but yeah, I push myself hard in workouts and in
Hmm.
races. Um, so I kind of like not having to be like at like 8 or 9 out of
Sure.
10 in a workout. But if then we had to go on like in the workouts where I'm at 8, 9, or 10, which ones do I prefer? I think it's the downwards pyramid, so
Hmm.
you're doing like let's say 1200, 800, 400.
Yeah.
So you're gradually cutting the distance and going faster,
Yeah.
but I find it so much easier when you're just
Yeah.
lowering the distance
Jim
and
did a
going
lot of those at
faster.
McGill, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jim
yeah,
used to
yeah,
do a lot of
yeah, yeah,
those.
yeah. We had the other way around too, but I find mentally it's easier so
Hmm.
you can get a better workout, because you're just like,
Hmm.
okay, you did that one, it's nasty, but then okay, it's less. It's a bit
Yeah.
less. You go up faster, but it's less. And then
Yeah.
you go a bit faster, but it's less.
Hmm.
And then you get a big breaks, a big
Hmm.
rest. So
Hmm.
okay, it's okay. You get time to reset.
Hmm.
So these ones I find I think they're feasible in my head, So it's not,
Hmm.
but I also like, workouts where you just have 1 minute rest also,
Hmm.
because I don't like rest too much.
Hmm.
Like I always jog in
Hmm.
between rest. I
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
just I rarely stop.
Hmm.
Number one, because I don't like it, because on my watch, it's gonna mess up my data, because I need to keep it running to see
Yeah.
that the time is going, but then I'm not gonna be running, so it's kind of weird. So a bit of that, but I also used to do that when I had a Timex watch that was just like
Hmm.
no GPS. So
Hmm.
it's also just I got used to that, and I find I recuperate better jogging.
Hmm.
Very slow, but jogging than
Yeah,
standing or
sure.
walking.
For sure, for sure. I remember another workout you did at Robillard. It was the, I don't know if I called it that then, but it's like sort of this like Steve Prefontaine workout where you go like 200 fast and then 200 like tempo or whatever, like not jog basically, and you just keep going until you have to stop. Do you remember doing that one?
No.
No? Yeah, you,
Well, maybe you've done it to us. Like, was it like a trial
it
thing?
was,
Like that you...
no, that we did a time trial like that once at McGill, like a
No, no,
5K like that.
but not a time trial. I mean, but was it like an experiment workout thing,
Mm,
kind of
I don't know. Maybe I presented it that way, but I remember that we did it at Robillard and you were there and
outside,
inside.
inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were lasted the longest. Like it was the workout was
Oh
you
yeah,
go until you decide that you stop. So you decide when the
yeah,
workout's over.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you kept going, going.
Yeah, yeah, and people got tired and we're like, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I barely remember it, but yeah, I guess I kind of like that too, because it's what, it's 200 at what pace you say?
Like 200 like fast, like even 1500, maybe 3K at the slowest pace. And
Yeah.
then the 200 recovery is like, marathon pace maybe.
Yeah, well, you see, yeah, that kind of stuff, like I could keep going almost forever, because I'm good on the recovery side. So that recovery, well, maybe marathon is a bit hard, but
Hmm.
but still, if it's marathon a bit slower, that I can make last for quite a while. And also the
Yeah.
change of pace, going from those fast 200s, and then
Hmm.
the marathon pace feels easy
Hmm.
almost, on
Yeah.
the 200.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, I guess I like that, but I don't remember doing too often. So I guess it didn't
No,
stuck
we
in
wouldn't
my.
do it too often because it
Yeah.
it was this like sort of two exhaustion workout. So
Yeah.
it's not, you don't want to do a workout like that where you like go until you drop like a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's not
I guess that's why I was seeing it as a bit of an experiment,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what's your favorite race? Like both distance and event.
Yeah. So distance, I like 5Ks
Hmm.
quite a bit, because it's hard, it's fast, but it's you don't have time too much to hurt too much, versus the 10K. The 10K is still quite fast, but it hurts for a long time. It hurts for 31 minutes,
Yeah.
32 minutes, for me. So versus 5K, like the first K, it's like almost free, and
Hmm.
then the two and three, you start to feel that kilometer three, but then you only have two to go. So 5K, I think it's one of my strengths and I like it.
Hmm.
And then half marathon also, I find it's it's
Hmm.
it's it's still a fast pace, but it's more manageable than the 10K.
Hmm.
So these are kind of my favorite. Also, but also 8 marathon, because it's so treacherous.
Yeah.
I find it is one of my strengths, so I like it. But and on paper, technically, I've done my best like World Athletics ranking
Hmm.
in a marathon in my 2:21:20 in
Hmm.
Toronto. But it's so treacherous also, because I've had some really shitty marathons
Hmm.
uh, where it just doesn't go to plan.
Hmm.
Your body just, you want it, but your body just says no.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then races, like specific races. Well, obviously, I'm gonna say Tremblant, because I've been with them. It's one of the first races I've ran. Also, I remember I was, well, volunteering for Tremblant initially. Like we used to go. I
Would
remember
you do
with
like a
Dave
training camp or
Liu.
something?
Kind of also, like, well, they give us like we'd say in like a youth hostel.
Yeah.
I remember I went with a gang with the McGill Olympic Club,
Yeah.
and we'd volunteer. I don't remember. I think we were like
Hmm. Yeah.
giving bibs or something, or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And they
and
had that. They
and
had at the previous. They had the like the game. They had the sumo balls or whatever, or the sumo sticks
yeah, that
and the
rings me a
balls.
bell.
Two
Yeah,
different things.
yeah, that rings me a bell also. Uh, But I don't think I raced it that year. I think Dave Liu raced it, and I
Maybe
think
Dave.
he
Yeah.
did well.
Hmm.
Maybe I raced, but I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, I've known that race. I've worked for
Yeah.
them, volunteered for them, and
Mhm.
then worked for them for many years. And
Mhm.
it's a really nice course, hard,
Mhm.
but I've done it so often, and I like the organization and all. So for sure, Tremblant half marathon. Um, f- and then I don't even remember. I don't even remember what's the other one I noted. Uh,
Rimouski.
yeah, Rimouski. Yeah, obviously, because it's. I mean, uh, I won it twice. It's the only marathon I've ever won.
Mhm.
Because well, it's yeah. The Toronto, you can't win it unless you're like a Kenyan or Ethiopian, or you're Cam Levins,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, Montreal. Yeah, Montreal. There were some years I could have won it, but yeah, the years I've tried it, there were like elite Kenyans and all, so
Mhm.
nope. So yeah, I've actually won it. Didn't do my best times there, not at all, but won it twice, and especially when it was provincial championships last year, and I didn't think I'd win it because there was this guy, forgot his name, but yeah, he's a fast guy. Uh, he got caught in the past for doping, but he did his
Ah.
4 years. Forgot his name though. But he's quite fast. Like that year, to like a few weeks later, he
Mhm.
ran 2:16, I think, marathon.
Wow.
So, like, and I was not in 2:16 shape or not even close.
Mhm.
So, and that was a super technical race, super windy.
Mhm.
And I just stayed behind and did the classic Jarry kick at the end. But yeah, I didn't think, honestly, I was just settling for second to finish second behind him,
Mhm.
and just try to beat Larouche because I don't think he counted as Quebecer for
Right.
the provincial championship.
Money, yeah.
And then just because the wind was crazy, we managed to stick with him,
Mhm.
and yeah, that was a nice moment because I'd had decently shitty years, like decently like no big wins or
Yeah.
anything, and just
Yeah.
not optimal. So that was a nice redemption. So
Yeah.
yeah, Rimouski is a nice one. There's just so many, but yeah,
Mhm.
if I had to pick a few, that there'd be those.
Yeah. So, talking about racing, and you've always been this runner who races better than they trained. Like
Yeah.
people would ask me like, "Oh, like what is, like Jari must do this workout." And I'm like, "Nope." He doesn't go fast. Like he doesn't, you don't go fast. I remember the
And I
first
try.
time.
And
Yeah, I
I
know. Yeah,
try,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing is
it's
that
not
you're,
on purpose. It's not
yeah,
on purpose that I go slow. You see my face in the workouts, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, like you look like you're trying hard and everything. But so what do you attribute that to where like when the race comes, like the monster just sort of comes out.
Yeah, it's the adrenaline, like the adrenaline kicks in. Like the morning of, I poop 2 to 4 times before a morning race, and even
Yeah.
more if it's an evening one.
Yeah.
But my body gets ready. It's like it's automatic.
Mm,
And yeah, I just like when I hear the gun, when I get on the start line, all of that,
mhm,
no matter what, like the adrenaline just pumps, and
mhm,
and it's different than a workout. And the workout, I know there's some people who prepare a lot,
mhm,
I need to be super optimal for that workout, and me,
mhm,
I'm less of that. I'm not at all of that style actually.
mhm.
I'll try not to do anything stupid, but even now and then you see me right on Strava. I ate too many peanuts before that, and I
Yeah.
had a shit workout or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just, and I don't do workouts in racers almost
Mhm,
ever. Like I
mhm,
really tend to go for trainers,
mhm.
and I'm just like, well, if you train in trainers, then your racers are gonna feel real fast when you put them on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of that. Yeah, it's like the beast. I like to think that because
Mhm,
it helps because you don't have any complex of like, hey, I've seen what this guy does in workouts. I've seen what I do in workouts. For sure,
mhm.
I can't beat him. You
Yeah.
just say, hey, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Come race day, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So I just put that mindset in, and yeah, I don't know where it comes from, but I guess I'm competitive. I'm
Yeah.
competitive like in tabletop games. I'm competitive a bit in everything. I like to be right. I'm
Yeah.
argumentative. So I guess it's that. It's also being competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also like you do like you say like you're all it seems to me like you're always like either you're running easy or you're running hard and you get the face like the of the like Jarry face where you're like just like working hard even if it's like the first interval and all of it you're already there or if it's like a
Yeah,
threshold like tempo run which shouldn't be like so hard but like it's just like all the time like what why do you I think like I try to like I try to get you to come to when I was at Concordia to come to the practices because I wanted the university athletes to see you. I
yeah.
wanted to see that because I feel like sometimes some people were like they didn't understand what they were supposed to do like to push themselves. Like they didn't understand.
Yeah,
No, like it's supposed to be like terrible.
hard. Yeah, it's
you
supposed to
know?
feel shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have also an expressive face, which boosted up a bit,
Yeah.
but like I do feel terrible like during many workouts. Like I feel a lot of pain, and
Mhm.
I don't hide it or anything. But yeah, I find like going 320,
Mhm.
which is my marathon pace in
Mhm.
a workout, it feels hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like easy. Like
Yeah.
it is quite hard. I am suffering when I'm doing that. When I'm going faster, when I'm going 10K for like
Mhm.
it is not easy. So yeah, and I think there's some athletes for who it is easy to like run
Mhm.
10K for a short time.
Yeah.
For me, it's just hard, and it's just on race day it feels a little bit less hard,
Mhm.
but on workout day it does feel hard, and that's why I've also learned like not to give too many to go crazy about the paces because
Mhm.
I'm not gonna hit most of them in
Yeah.
in workouts. I'm like if I'm 5 or 10 seconds slower
Yeah.
almost, it's fine almost.
Yeah.
So I go by effort a lot and in the past it was worse. In the past like I'd go super hard in workouts and then I'd rate them on a scale to 10 and
Mhm.
I still couldn't rate them. Like it's super rare I went to 7.
Mhm.
So most of the time I'd be like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And even though I'd been pushing, like you see how I'm pushing, because
Yeah.
in my head I was like, it's only in a race that I can go to
Yeah.
9 or 10 or
Yeah.
8 even.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of changed. Like
Mhm.
usually when I do a workout where I'm pushing quite a hard, like I go at least 7.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe it's the Strava that's messed up with me because like in Strava, if you put 7, it's like it's hard, and if you put 6, it's moderate. I'm not going moderate.
Just
But
not moderate.
that's not moderate. So maybe it's that's messed with my head a bit, but I also think I've
Yeah.
like learned that yeah, I do push hard also in workouts, even though I'm not going super fast
Mhm.
compared to what I'm doing in races.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I know pain is part of it. I know the mental aspect, like being able to suffer, and I think that's my strength in races. So
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I can't think of you having like a bad race. I don't know if that's ever happened.
uh
I mean, you would probably know.
like well, there's the Rotterdam Marathon where I
Well, that
crashed.
actually, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That wasn't good. But marathons are
Yeah.
like you can't marathons.
That's it.
It's
That's why,
yeah,
yeah, that's why marathons, like, I don't really put them in the same category because it's just sometimes it's out of your control.
yeah,
Houston Marathon too, I crashed hard
mm,
with the temperature and all.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is rare
Good
that I'll,
temperature, but what I mean by sorry, but I mean
yeah,
a bad race like where because you see it sometimes. You see runners like just give up. But like you
yeah.
don't have that where like you get to that point in the race and then you're just like I can't. Like
No, because
people
I'm
don't,
afraid I'm afraid if I do that once, I'll
Mhm,
do it again. You know,
mhm,
like it and it was the same in workouts before. I was
mhm,
like, if I don't do it today,
mhm,
then I'm not gonna do it tomorrow either. And I've
mhm,
gotten into that pattern a bit more recently of like,
yeah,
oh, then I'll do it tomorrow. Then I'll do it.
mhm,
I don't have time. I'll skip, go to the next workout. Next planned workout.
yeah,
But in races, I haven't gotten to that. Of like,
mhm,
oh, well, it's just not going. I'll just give up in that race. The
yeah.
only time it's happened was in marathons, which I don't really count because like when you're so off pace
Well, once you're
of
done,
your
you're done. Like
target,
there's no point. Yeah.
that's it. I'm just like, okay. Versus like, half marathon, okay, I'll try to salvage it like, under 110 or
Mhm,
under 111,
mhm,
Uh yeah. And then I'm just like there's not that much time left to suffering.
mhm,
I'm if I'm suffering hard, it's gonna be usually at least halfway through the race,
Hmm.
and I'm like, well, I'm already halfway through the race. So,
Yeah.
it's if it's a 5K, I got 7 more minutes,
Yeah.
If it's a 10K, I got about 15 more minutes. I just think about the time that's left to suffer. I'm just like, hey, I either paid for this race or I paid to get there. I showed up, I took the time to show up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do show up for nothing. At least I'll get a good workout in.
Yeah.
Good race workout is you push hard.
Mhm.
So it's just always my mindset in a race.
Mhm.
So
Uh,
yeah.
okay, so different topic, but sort of the meta topic because we're here on a podcast and you have your own podcast,
Yeah.
Le Monde de la Course. So why did you start this podcast? How's it going? What are some of your, favorite moments? Any like sort of mistakes or bloopers, funny things? Tell us about do a promo for your
Yes.
podcast.
All right. So good podcast if you want to learn French, French Canadian. It's I started that. I think it was 2019. There were no running French running podcasts back then. So I was like, that'd be fun to have one.
Mhm.
And I was like, there's so many interesting people that
Mhm.
I'm sure people would like to discover and to
Mhm.
promote the sport and all. So yeah, I started that, bought myself a little mic, and just started recording. At the beginning was terrible. Like the first episode, you'll see the quality is not good. And also I knew people. I knew
Mhm.
Mel, for example, Melanie Miran. I knew a lot of guys who I knew since I raced with them, since I talked with them, I know I could probably get them to
Mhm.
come to talk and in a
Yeah.
podcast format. So I was like, I can do it, so why not do it?
Mhm.
So yeah, so now it's been what? It's been more than 5 years, I think. Yeah, for sure, more than 5 years. On to episode like over 260, more than 260, I think.
Oh.
And it became a mix. At the first, it was just interviews with
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
and then I also added the news component. Now
Mhm.
I'm doing it with a guy, Mathieu Pollard, so it's
Mhm.
way more fun. I find like
Yeah.
I honestly, if I was alone right now, I wouldn't have the motivation to do it. I
Mhm.
think so.
Where
Having
did
him
you
to
meet
kick my
him and
butt.
how did he
He
become?
was he was a listener to my podcast, and he commented and all that stuff, and uh, and I forgot how exactly, but I know at some point he wrote me a question or a message or something, and I was like, "Hey, like I'm searching for someone to do it with me because like doing news alone,
Yeah.
like it sucked. Like
Yeah.
just saying blah 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 blah. Here's what's going on. Like
Yeah.
talking alone
Yeah.
sucked. So I was like, "Hey, could you do that with me?" And he was like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
that's how it happened. And he was more of a beginner runner. He
Mhm.
just started and he was really
Yeah.
intense into it. Really liked it.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a different perspective of me who was like more experienced and
Mhm.
more elite, and him who was more casual
Mhm.
but still very interested in the topic guy. So I thought
Yeah.
it'd give a nice perspective too, and it made it more fun. Like
Uh,
I didn't have the motivation anymore to run this alone. So that I think that's why we've been so uh, how would you say that? Like we've lasted so long, you know?
yeah.
Um, and yeah, like it's been going good. It's been going steady. Honestly, I don't look at the stats at all. Like,
Okay.
well, maybe I look at it once a year, like at the
Yeah.
end of the year recap, they do.
Yeah.
But I know we've got quite a few people listening because we get a lot of messages.
Mhm.
Like we get some nice stuff, really really touching stuff that really keeps us going, you
Yeah.
know. And so it's going well. I think funniest anecdote
Mhm.
would be we had Mathieu Blanchard, who's like we had him before he was super famous. He was a bit
Okay.
famous back then. Now he's just this mega big star.
Mhm.
But yeah, when we had him, he told us this anecdote about he was doing this ultra trail race, and there was this guy who was didn't like trail runners, and he just messed up the markers to send the runners into uh how do you call that, a dépotoir, a waste
Oh,
fill
yeah, landfill? Oh
landfill, a landfill, exactly. So all those racers ended up in a landfill.
my God.
So yeah, I thought that was super funny. But yeah, we have so much funny stuff. I can't even remember, like there's so much. And also the biggest mistake was when I had this guy, Simon Benoit.
Mhm.
sports medicine, sports doctor.
Mhm.
He is a doctor, an actual doctor, but
Mhm.
specialized in sports.
Mhm.
And very very interesting guy. We had him talk about loads of stuff related to like injuries, all that
Mhm.
stuff, all that health stuff. And I had tried a new thing where the camera would change every 10 minutes. I was trying this
Okay.
new setup. 10 minutes would be my webcam, 10 minutes would be the external webcam I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it ended up recording for 10 minutes and then not recording for 10 minutes and then recording
Oh.
for 10 minutes and then not recording for 10 minutes. So,
Oh
and I had him
no.
for 3 hours.
Oh
So it
no.
was a long one and then I lost half of it and I was like,
Oh,
how am I gonna tell him that? And I wrote to him, I was like, hey man, sorry this happened. I'm gonna do a try to do a a stitch it up together, and
yeah.
really sorry about that. He was like, yeah, no problem, no worries. But I felt bad because he gave me so much time, and I only
Mhm.
was able to give him less than half of what he'd given me.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so after that, I was like, yeah, no more experimentation,
Right.
and yeah, test, and I tested before, but I didn't tested it for 10 minutes, so I didn't
Ah.
know that after 10 minutes it wouldn't change. But
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oof. That's rough. So,
Yeah.
what's next on your podcast? Who's coming on your
So,
podcast
well, I
next?
just recorded one yesterday, so that's well, maybe it's gonna come out before you publish this one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
Okay.
how fast. Depends how fast you are. But yeah, yesterday we got this young guy. He's 21, and he just ran Montreal, Quebec, in like 2 or 3 days,
Okay.
to raise money for Enfants Soleil. He raised like
Okay.
35K, so pretty good. And he's done also all these crazy backyard challenges. He went up to like 38 laps, I think, of
Mm,
a backyard ultra. So that's backyard ultra is 6.7K. So you do
mm,
that times 38. I don't know what
mm.
that ends up to, something like in the
Too much.
200s.
Too
Yeah,
much.
a lot. So really intense guy, really funny, but really nice. And yeah, we also got recently Pierre-Yves Normandin, who just won the 15 km des Pichoux.
Okay. That's young
And
guy.
yeah, and soon we might try to get Robin Lefebvre, who just been crushing every record
Yeah.
in the U18 no U20 to
20, right?
U23 category, because he also beats the U23 records. He's
Oh,
U20, but he
okay.
also crushes those U23 records because
Yeah.
he's just a beast.
Hmm.
And yeah, we also cover the news, we whatever's going on, when we catch dopers, when there's a hot topic
Sure.
of we I do my shit talk, and you know how I can be, so I got my arguments, and it's fun to have someone else because like sometimes you'll think otherwise, and then I'll be like, no, what are you saying? No, 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 no. And then
Yeah.
he's like, well, I don't know, I think so. And then I'm like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
uh, yeah. I have opinion on many things.
Hmm. Okay, so then in that case, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
How would you improve running in Quebec or in Canada, like, the way races are run or clubs or like the federation's culture, like anything you want, what would you want to change and make
Ah,
better about running?
that's such a big question, and like there's so much good stuff in place right now,
Hmm.
like if you look at what Viens Courir's doing, the it's like the road segment of Athlétisme Québec.
Yeah.
So they've introduced like a provincial championships,
Hmm.
which there weren't, but for road races. Uh, and they're posting a lot of pictures, make it accessible. They're very present on social media, but I find it's like it has to be organic too, it has to be a bit that the people want it,
Hmm.
and also that they have access to it, I find.
Hmm.
Because a lot of kids, I'm sure a lot of kids, like I would have wanted to do track and field when I was younger. I
Hmm.
just didn't have access to it, I didn't have a club nearby, or maybe there was one but I didn't know about it. So
Hmm.
it's to spread awareness, but how that's like some big bucks question,
Hmm.
that's a big one, because that's what part of your job, I guess, a bit like of like.
Maybe not me personally, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think the federation should. Well, so we can have a conversation about this. I think that
yeah,
I would say in Quebec, one of the big things that holds Quebec back. And Quebec does really well, I think, relatively, in
Yeah,
Canada. But the
yeah.
biggest difference is like in Ontario, the biggest high school race is the provincial championships, and all the good runners run in schools. It's like a provincial
Hmm.
high school, like it's all through the schools. And where are the kids? They're in the schools. In Quebec, the schools, the school meets are nothing.
Oh,
Like
that's true.
the provincials are like the best meet, but even then, not everybody is there, and not like everything runs through the clubs.
It's a
And
lot more club, yeah, it's a lot more
yeah,
club focused here.
and
Yeah, I
and
think through schools it makes sense, but then you
yeah,
need to have the PE teachers who are
well,
interested in running that or the teachers,
sure,
whoever.
but I mean, but again, like I said, like the example of of Ontario and BC, another big province that
Yeah.
has that. Like I don't know. I mean, maybe my school was different, but because we were really good and we won a lot. But like there were like I don't know, like seven different coaches in my high school team, and they were just teachers, not even gym teachers. Like our head coach was a
That's
history teacher.
7 coaches.
Yeah, we had like Mr. Barry, Mr. Monahan, Ms. Hogan, Kernan, Bergen was like track, and he ran with us. Like we had
They liked running at your school.
yeah, and this is a school of
Usually it's
900.
like one guy or two
No,
guys,
it
you
was a
know?
school
It's
of 900 kids, 900 boys,
yeah.
and we had about 70 kids on the cross country team.
Yeah, that's a big running focus
Yeah,
school, you know?
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but it, because of I think it was because of a teacher that got into it and started it, and it
Well,
kind of grew
yeah.
from there, right? That's
Well, you
that's how it
need
happened.
that. You need that
Yeah,
spark plug, that spark plug.
yeah.
But so how do you get those spark plugs, you know? So
Yeah,
spark
that's it. But I
plugs,
mean,
yeah.
I think that's the thing is like the way that the federations work, and they can put things in structures in place to encourage those spark plugs. But I think,
With money?
well, money, but I don't know, maybe, but like I just think that the way that clubs are as well, like the they're not necessarily. I think some clubs do a pretty good job, but there's not a lot of connection or outreach to the schools. Like remember when we were doing stuff with Kells, like when we had our club, and I sent a message. I think it even started when we were at McGill. Like I sent a message to the GMAA, to all the schools, and I said, hey, like, do you want help with track? Like we can send people to help coach these clubs. And Kells was the only school that answered, that they were like, oh yeah, like, and that was Jamie, the head of phys ed, and she was like, yeah, I want to do this, like she was into it. But I'm sure that if like all the clubs did that on a regular basis, was on or contacting the schools a lot, then there would be more, the schools would kind of be like, oh, okay, maybe like this is a thing or whatever. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
hard
I
to
th I think through school is the way to go, you know, like because it goes hand in hand, you know, doing sports and
Mhm,
going to school, it's two things that should be interconnected, like
mhm,
for sure.
mhm.
But yeah, it's just like why are they not doing it and why
Yeah,
why uh you know, is it because also that you need to have the teachers there, you know, or
yeah. Well,
it's
like this
it's
is it. Like the teachers, like I don't know. I mean, we probably disagree on this, but I find like the union mentality of like I only do what my job is. It's to the detriment of the kids. Like the coaches I had in high school like to run, and they're like, I'm going for a run after school, so I'm going to stay with the kids and run with them. Like it wasn't
yeah,
part of their job. They were like, this is what I want to do. This, like, you know what I
I
mean?
I think there should be remuneration for that, you know? You know,
Well,
because here's the thing, because you know I'm also the union rep for my school, you know,
yeah.
so I like I see it so many teachers like, well, first of all it's a majority women
Mm,
uh, teachers, and so many of them, you know, it's just like it's their life, you know,
mm-hmm,
like teaching is just their life, and they're doing like not just more than their hours, like
mm-hmm,
so much more than their hours, and it's just, you know, like not getting paid what they're worth, you know, in my
mm,
mind. So I find if you put the and this worked in my high school
mm,
where I worked 2 years ago.
mm-hmm.
Like the government had just put a lot of money into team sports. Well,
Mm.
not just team sports, just sports in
Sports.
general,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of kids, so many kids doing volleyball, so
Mm,
many kids doing I think it was basketball or futsal, soccer indoors,
yeah.
so many kids because the government had put money.
Mm,
to, well, number one, pay for the kids,
Hmm.
like so that the parents didn't have to pay anything or almost nothing,
Hmm.
and to pay the teachers or other adults
Hmm.
to be there to coach them. And like yeah, all these kids loved it and they were active. So I find there needs to be like some money to compensate a bit, because I find it's just, some people will give so much,
Hmm.
uh, and some of them are just dead tired, because they're already giving too much just on their job side,
Yeah.
and then you add that they either don't have time or, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
for
it's
sure. I mean, I think that yeah, like if it should be remunerated somehow, but I also think that if there's someone out there, a teacher who wants to start a track or cross country program, like they shouldn't not do it, or they shouldn't be told by their administration they can't do it because it would be like, out of their mandate or something like that. Like that's what really bothers me is this sort
you
of
think that
structures.
happens?
I think
I,
it
I
kind of
doubt
happens,
that happens.
I
I
don't know.
doubt that happens. I think it's more on the other side of like, I already have way too much on my plate.
Well, I'm sure that
I think so.
I mean, that definitely is
Yeah.
probably the more common thing. Like
I think that's the
everybody's
most the
busy.
most common. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see teachers at my kids' school, like they leave like when the kids leave, and I'm like, okay, like maybe you come in early and do your homework, except for I know you don't, and maybe you're going home to do stuff. But then other teachers are there and they're participating in the life of the school, and I
Yeah,
think
there's
that's
there's different styles, and also maybe one is just leaving the school because they work better at home, because in the school it
mm,
can be quite loud, because some of the teachers, they have like they have the kids staying after in their classroom, like
mhm,
for service de garde. So
mm.
yeah, if I have service de garde in my classroom, I'm getting the hell out of here, because I can't work with kids screaming in my ears. So
They put the
so
service out in the classroom at your school?
yeah, well, yeah,
Weird. I don't know.
they don't do
I
that at
don't.
yours.
Well, I mean, I'm not there, so they put them in the basement. Okay, this is not running talk anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not about the
Anyway, but
teaching
no,
and the
but
kids,
it's the big
but
pic.
yeah,
I think,
but an investment, like you said, like so some kind of structural investment
yeah,
in coaching in schools would
yeah.
be,
I think so too. I think so too, because the school, every kid has to go to school. So
mm,
if
yeah,
there's a cross country or running program or track and field program,
mhm.
every kid is gonna have the opportunity if they want it. Not every kid's
No,
gonna want to do it, but I think many kids want to do it.
yeah,
Kids love running.
hmm,
Like they just, it's so basic.
hmm,
So many kids. Me at my school, I just like, for fun. I just like, the kids are like, they know I'm a runner, and they just wanted me to race them in
they
the
want to
the
raise,
schoolyard.
yeah,
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 yeah. And I just like that. They just come to me. Oh, want to race. Okay, I'm watching in the schoolyard. I'm doing my surveillance, and then, okay, let's just do a quick race. Like, it takes 1 second. Like, it takes a minute. We're just running from one end to the other, and
yeah.
like I've got like
It's like the Pied
20
Piper.
kids, 20 kids running with me. Like, it's just like, it's like a mass.
Mm,
So it's so natural. I find, and it's for also those kids who feel like they're not good at sports.
mm,
I find at least in that they can feel good, because
mm,
because if you give some effort, you
mhm,
can do good.
mhm.
Versus some sports, you're just gonna suck. Like soccer,
Yeah,
if you're not good with your head and your feet,
yeah,
like you're gonna not be so good. If
yeah.
baseball, you don't have coordination, you're not gonna be so good. Versus running, if you give
Mhm.
an effort, you're gonna be decent at least.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. It's funny, I think I had a very similar like origin story where I was at a small elementary school where there were, 60 kids per grade. So it was like two classes and that's it. And so like 60 kids and like 30 boys, 30 girls. So 30 boys out of half the boys did sports and half the boys didn't do sports. So if were a boy who did sports, then you were on all the teams. So I was playing basketball. I was terrible. Soccer. I was terrible. I was actually kind of good at baseball and kind of good at volleyball. I don't know why, but yeah. But then running, I was like the best kid in my school at one point. So it was like, oh, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
When you're
Um,
good at it, you like it.
Exactly. So the last question I wanted to ask you was about when you kind of alluded to this, but how are you balancing running now with work versus when you're a student, and now also if you want to talk about you have a family now, how do you
Yeah.
how do you manage to get things done on the running side with all
Yeah,
the new
I'm a
things?
husband. I'm a married man now. Um, yeah, it's it's harder, but I find it's the work that's been the hardest part at
Mm,
first. It's just like when I transitioned from being a student at McGill to
mm,
working,
mm.
like I haven't done many PBs since then because it's fun. I love working, honestly. I wouldn't go back to studying because I was sick of it at the end.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's just it's tiring to be, standing up with the kids, dealing with their with their screams, and they're not screaming because they're bad. They're just screaming because they're excited and because they're kids,
yeah.
young kids. And yeah, like they just they suck a lot of energy out of you.
Mm,
I like them. I love them, but it does drain you.
mm.
And I come home and like today's the first day I haven't napped in like a while, like after coming back from home. Normally I just go back and I'm super hungry because like
Yeah,
I've, I- I've had a lot of
yeah,
energy sucked out of me,
yeah, yeah.
and then I eat and then I crash on my couch, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
So then it's hard to do a workout after that, you know.
yeah. No, for sure.
So you got to be disciplined. Like tomorrow, I want to do the workout that you said for me for today. I
Hmm.
really want to do it tomorrow. It's going to be nice.
Hmm.
And I'm going to finish like at 2:20 because I have the kindergartners and I need to just like I need to eat sufficiently so that I have just enough to just go right after that because
Hmm.
then I have a union meeting at 5 p.m. So I need to get it done then. I need
Yeah.
to do
Do
it
you
now.
do you go from school, or do you go home and then run? Like, do you ever
Oh
run
no,
from
I'll
school?
go home because I'm 400 meters from my school right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, that's been like that for 2 years. So yeah,
Nice.
that's why you don't see me running to work anymore
Yeah.
because I run, but I run 400 meters, so I don't bother to put it on Strava. So yeah, that's super convenient. But yeah, at least in the past, I was forced to do my runs because I would run to go to school.
Hmm.
Now I'm not forced to
Yeah.
because
But more time, I guess. It's
yeah,
close.
no,
It's really
I have,
good.
I have more spare time. But it can work both ways. It's good because now it's easier to get the workout in. Because
Hmm.
back then I jogged to school and
Hmm.
then I'd be super tired, to come back on to go
Yeah.
back.
And then you had to
But
do the workout. Yeah.
yeah, so it'd be super hard to do that. But now it's just those days that I'm super tired. It's easier to take them off because I didn't run to there.
Hmm.
Don't need to run back.
No
I can
running.
just go on
Yeah.
my couch. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it can go both ways. But so yeah, and with a daughter, she's not right now living with me, the my wife and daughter, but soon will be. There's gonna
Mhm.
be a big adaptation too.
Hmm.
But yeah, also that it takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
The you need you need to make time to
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. Good
So
job.
yeah. Luckily, I live close to my work, so that's a big thing, and I'm never gonna change that. I'm never gonna work far from where I
Yeah.
from where I live because it's just a necessary quality of life
Mhm.
if you wanna. I find now I'm
Yeah.
just gotten used to it,
Oh yeah.
and
No, for
mm,
sure. For sure. I mean, I've worked from home from since 2014, and it's yeah, I can't imagine commuting. It would ruin my day.
yeah, yeah, that's it. So it's yeah, it's the adaptation has been difficult from student to worker,
Mhm.
but I feel like I'm starting to get it. I'm
Mhm.
starting to get into the beat, and I've started some good races like won NDL last year. Like I didn't think I'd win it, like in like 14:43 or something. I was like, what the hell? And it wasn't a good day. It was like a crappy windy day.
Yeah.
So I've still managed to pull some good races in the past years. But for sure, I find it's more challenging. It's
Mhm.
more challenging to 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 be disciplined
Mhm.
when you're working full time. You're devoting your life like being a teacher. Like
Yeah.
you're
like you
You
said, it's a
could.
lot of energy. It's not like,
It's a lot of
answering
energy.
emails. It's interacting with a bunch of little humans that are
Yeah, that have a
intense.
lot of energy, that
Yeah.
have a lot of questions.
So many questions. So
Oh,
many
today I started reading reading this book, like, or I don't know, we talked about something, I don't know, about countries, and
questions.
then they were asking me the population of every country. And like,
Because you would
how many
know.
people are in Brazil? Well, I Google it,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, oh, and they'd want to know each of their country of origin or whatever, and it just, so so many questions, so
Mm.
much also discipline from time to time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of energy, that job. And it's like mental, it's physical and mental,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're not sitting much when you're a teacher.
No, no, that's it.
You have a chair, but you're not using it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have like one 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and like that's enough in the house at one time. I'm glad they go to school.
But to be honest, I find kids at home, like I've seen it with my stepdaughter,
Mm.
uh, they're a lot more excited.
Oh yeah.
It depends on the kid, I guess,
Mhm.
but like for example, her at school, she's very disciplined and all, and at
Mhm.
home, like she can be very excited, like
Mhm.
very crazy and
Yeah.
and scream and da da da. Versus at school, she behaves well. So
Mhm.
it can go both ways,
I've heard
but
that there's a thing like with kids too, that they know that they're supposed to behave at school and stuff, but
yeah,
they hold it back all day, and then when they get home, they have to like
maybe,
release.
maybe,
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about this more in our parenting podcast next time.
yeah, yeah.
But thanks so much for coming on and
Thanks for having me,
talking all your
John.
stuff. Was it fun to be on the other side of the microphone?
I love being interviewed in podcasts, because I'm so relaxed.
Yeah.
Because when I'm doing a podcast, I'm always afraid I might fuck something up. I might be like, I'm always looking, is it still recording?
Yeah.
Is it
I
all
know.
going good?
I've been
And
looking.
yeah, that's it. Is everything going good? And like now that I was making mine on Messenger, and now Messenger changed something, and now I have to do it so that I can't change stuff. I want to make sure there's no notifications from emails from WhatsApp going in. So I'm always on the edge, but I'm listening to what the person's saying, but
Yeah.
it's also helped to have someone else, because I'm like, I don't have to answer right away if they
Right.
ask a question, he can answer to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love being interviewed on podcasts because I can relax and just talk about whatever you're asking me. So
That's good. That's good. Yeah, we do. I also do with Athletics Canada, we do like a not monthly, but like 6 times a year kind of webinar. We call it a webinar. It's kind of like a podcast, I guess, with some coaches or whatever. But I always have my colleague he's on, but in the background. And so he answers like if there's questions from the audience, like he answers them and stuff like that. So there's like we have like a helper, and so he watches all those technical things. So when I'm interviewing, I don't have to worry too much. So that's a bit more of a professional setup, but this one's just me. Anyways, well, thanks so much, and
thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you in real life soon.
Yep.